Yeah, I want to share from a parable which is written in Luke 12:16 to 21. Luke 12:16 to 21. So Jesus spoke about this parable where a rich man whose land was very productive, since he did not have a place to store all the crops, he wanted to tear down his barns and build bigger ones to store the grain. So he reasoned with himself and came up with a grand plan as to how he wants to live the rest of his life. In verse 19, it says, I will say to myself, you have many goods stored up for many years to come. Relax, eat, drink, and enjoy yourself. But God said to him, you fool, this very night your soul is demanded of you. And as for all that you have prepared, who will own it now? I thought about what went wrong with rich man's retirement plan. He wanted to live the rest of his life for himself, eating, drinking, and partying, but did not have room for God and did not see the need for God. He failed to see who was the control over his life, who has the control over his life, forgetting the fact that that man's life just a vapor that appears for a little while and then vanishes. The Lord calls this rich man a fool. The verse that spoke to my heart is that verse 21, such is the one who stores up treasure for himself and not is not rich in relation to God. It tells me that I should not store up treasures for myself. And Jesus said in Matthew 19, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroys, where thieves do not break in or steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And also tells me, this verse tells me that I must long to have a rich relationship with God. This rich man wanted to enjoy his life apart from God. And as a disciple of the Lord, I must rejoice in him always, but not simply in the things he has given me. And Jesus said, do not rejoice in this, that the spirits are subjected to you, but rejoice that your names are recorded in heaven. And so I must rejoice because my name is written in heaven, and God allowed me to become a younger brother of Jesus by his amazing grace. And also I must boast in the Lord, knowing that he is my loving Father, but not in the earthly blessings. And Hebrews 12:15 it says, see to it that no one comes short of the grace of God, that godless person like Esau, who sold his own birthright for a single meal, like the rich man who wanted to satisfy his flesh with his riches, but not with God. And God calls Esau godless because he put his flesh first over spiritual blessings. So I must seek to be full of the Spirit of God and to crucify my flesh with his passions and desires. I must seek his face, his kingdom, and righteousness. And that really blessed me in Psalms, what psalmist says, I said to the Lord, you are my Lord. I have nothing good besides you. Psalm 73 it says, I desire nothing on this earth besides you. The nearness of God is my good. So I want to have such a heart to seek after God. And may the Lord help all of us to be rich towards Him. Amen.
Luke 17:10, when you do all the things which are commanded you, say, we are unworthy slaves. We have done only that which we ought to have done. I just want to share really quick how this memory verse had encouraged me this week. And it was a reminder for me that I need to watch out for pride after I finish all that the Lord has commanded me to do. And I just want to repeat an example that our brother Sandeep shared with us a few years ago, which I really liked. And it had to do with this board game called Snakes and Ladders. So it's a very simple board game. And basically the point of the board game is you want to go all the way to the very top of the board. But along the way, there's snakes. And if you happen to land on a snake, you have to slide back down and have to climb back up the board again. And I remember Sandeep sharing us that at the very end of the board game, right before the finish line, there's a snake. And if you happen to hit that snake, well, that's really too bad because you went all the way up to almost the end, and then you hit the snake and you fell back down. And spiritually speaking, what is that? A snake. I believe the name of that snake is called pride. And it was just a reminder for me that after trying to obey all the Lord has commanded us to do, whether it's to share the gospel, whether it's to fight sin and to live a righteous life, if we get all the way near that finish line and I look back and I become prideful about what I've done, then it's basically like hitting that snake and sliding back down. And it was just a really good reminder for me to say, Lord, I'm an unworthy slave, so I avoid that trap of hitting that snake before the very end. But at the same time, I was also reminded not to simply stop there and say, Lord, I'm an unworthy slave, but also remember to say, who is worthy? And of course, we know that's Jesus. And I was reminded of what's being sung in a Revelation in heaven. There's a beginning of a song that says, worthy are you. I really like the beginning of that song. Worthy are you. And if you think about how they sing it, it's not a sad song. It's not a depressing song, but it's, I'm sure, a very joyful song. And so I was just reminded, even though, Lord, I say I'm not worthy, but I can still have joy to say, Lord, you are worthy. And that's good enough for me. And that's what encouraged me. Thank you.